Alright, so some of you are probably reaching level 60 by now and are looking into Gunsmoke Frontline for their platoon. Here I am again with the boss guides. Time to share this to your guildmates as you'll definitely need this if you want to start ranking. Many of you have probably known me for solo raid guides in Nikke, and if you were not aware yet, I do love me some boss raid battles and PvE. Lucky this time I enjoyed this game's boss fight, so here I am to make a video about it. Girls Frontline has boss raids as well, and Gunsmoke Frontline is one of the crucial things where you want to have a boss raid expertise on. Before I start talking about the boss, let's talk about one of the most important things to start with, and that is the buffs. Getting the correct buffs are important, and to explain this simply, there's two types of buffs. One buff is effective throughout the Gunsmoke Frontline season, and then there's the second buff which is only effective for a particular attempt you're doing. The second buff is a daily rotation buff and something you have to choose. Keep in mind that using it for one team means that you cannot use it for the other, so you have to be careful on selecting the correct buffs. For example, day 1 Gunsmoke, there's a buff that increases damage when you have Frost Barrier, but for day 2 there's some buffs that did stay the same, but there's some that completely changed as well. This means that in each day there's likely going to be different optimal combinations with teams and buffs. This keeps some of your hits slightly different depending on how you want to take advantage of the buffs. For the explanation for this boss, I'll focus more about the boss mechanics and concept for it, and how to overcome them. First things first is the boss has a weakness to freeze and hydro damage for this season. So Makiatto and Tololo are something to consider as one of your units. Not to mention the fact that the Perilous Cold Wave, which is the buff effective this season, increases the hydro and freeze damage and critical rate by 30%. This boss also has some special mechanics that allow you to deal more damage. Getting to level 60, you likely have encountered this boss multiple times, but that doesn't mean that the mechanics are the same. For this boss in particular, there's two biggest factors other than optimizing buffs that I think you have to consider to deal more damage. First, and quite possibly the biggest one to consider, is the boss's mechanic, City Warden's Protection. With this mechanic, the boss will gain 3 stacks of Edifice. Completely cancelling this buff is very crucial because we then will gain a stack of Siege, which gives a 15% additional damage buff. The thing is, the boss also casts this buff multiple times throughout the fight, so you'll get more than just additional 15% buff. There are many ways to accomplish this, but the easiest way is to have QJ. QJ has a key called Efficient Planning, and this basically allows her to easily clear this buff without any effort. It's highly recommended to have a strong QJ in every team. Now, if you don't have QJ in your team or somehow within your guild, there's also alternatives. Tololo in particular has a key called Galactic Cruise, and since for this season in particular the boss has Hydro weakness, she basically has free cleanse. Something else to consider are other opportunity for cleanse if you have nothing else. Purchase skill 1 has a 3 buff cleanse, so make sure you save that skill before the boss uses his skills. Any SMG user with the Battle Pass weapon called Classified Manuscript can also cleanse 1 stack of buff, and in combination of that you can also use Vepli's skill 2, which also cleanses 2 buffs. And many more other possibly in the future if you end up reading this guide later down the road. You get the idea. And now for the second big one. This one is a very interesting mechanic, but it involves a special unit. This boss has a mechanic called Scattered Cross Person, which does AoE in the 4 cardinal directions from it. The special thing about this is the tenacity debuff that the boss gains when it hits 6 of us. This tenacity reduces the boss's defense by 50%, so it's pretty darn good. On top of that, it also increases the stability damage taken by 1. The thing is, in Gunsmoke, you can only deploy up to 5 units, so how the hell can you have 6 units? Good thing is, we have a free unit that was just given to us recently. Papasha has a special mechanic and have summon. This allows us to have a condition of getting hit with 6 units. Now you can't just use her without proper preparations at the very least though. One thing that you must consider is having the key 3, which is the Unwavering Conviction. You can make sure her summon doesn't go astray and intentionally tank using the key. Finally, one other thing to keep in mind is the boss has a Sword of Damocles that does mark the nearest allied target. The following turn then the boss does attack to the target. The simplest way is making sure you have someone that can tank it. Prep up, say, Makiatto's Burst to help out, or Suomi, or make sure that you have shield for it, and you can use also other tanks or just rotate different units to tank the boss hit. Properly tanking this mechanic makes the boss take more damage for the next following rounds. So I mentioned all these things, but basically how to efficiently do this fight is to pay attention to the boss's upcoming skills, and you can adjust your hits accordingly. You can click the top of your screen and you'll see its next moves if you're unsure what he's about to do. That's the main things to watch out for this boss, and this boss is rather straightforward. That's the quick guide for this boss, and good luck to every commander out there. By the way, I also stream on Twitch and I do stream my runs as well. Come visit me there and follow the stream for more GFL2 content. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button for the channel for more videos. This does help me figure out if this content is something that you guys enjoy, and give a like and comment and all that jazz. If you're from other games and want to check GFL2 out, go check out this other video I have made as well. And that's about it. I'll see you guys next time. By the way, did you know that 56% of you still hasn't subscribed yet? Make sure to click that subscribe button, click that bell notification, leave a comment, like, and subscribe.